Many thanks for keeping us company, and if you just tuned in, this is Lifestyle Wednesday, and tonight we are talking about empowering persons with disability and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. And a reminder, with me in studio is Caxton Osozi. He will tell us more what has been happening to people living with disabilities. And before that, I would like to bring to your attention some background information about persons living with disability. Now, the annual observance of the International Day of Disabled Persons was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly resolution. It aims to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities in all spheres of society and development, and to increase awareness of the situation of persons with disability in every aspect of political, social, economic, and cultural life. Building on many decades of UN's work in the field of disability, the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, adopted in 2006, has further advanced the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities in the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and other international development frameworks, such as the Sendai Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction, the Charter on Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities in Humanitarian Action, the New Urban Agenda, and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda on Financing for Development. We move to our discussion tonight. And Caxton, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Umeshinda poa?
Nimeshinda poa sana.
Karibu sana.
Yes, thank you.
Now, on Monday, we marked the International Day for People Living with Disabilities.
Precisely.
And one of the things that has been put together, and the theme that was for this year, was empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. And the question I want us to begin with is, do you feel like the aim of the United General Assembly resolution has been achieved in promoting the well-being and the rights of persons with disability? Yeah, do you think?
Since the inception of this day that you just said, 1992,
right,
the United Nations actually, we have moved a step, I can say that. Say as Kenya, right, we have moved steps, because now you see that there is inclusion of persons with disability. There is that exemption that the National Council, the Constitution allows us to have like a 5% of employers, 5% should be persons with disability.
Right.
So actually we've made steps as a country, and seeing persons with disability participate in politics, sports, and the social, development of this country, it is a plus.
All right. Now, some of the factors which people with disabilities at higher risk of violence include stigma, discrimination, and ignorance about disability, as well as lack of social support.
Yes.
Now, what has been done to ensure that this happens no more? Nini ilibadilishwa?
All right, you talked of awareness, and actually awareness has really been done. People never used to understand maybe certain conditions, say cerebral palsy, albinism, and other severe disabilities, but it has come to everyone's attention that, you see, this belongs to us,
right,
and these people are part of this community. So you realize that there are very few cases whereby, maybe say in the rural areas, you will find people still having, that delusions that people with disability are not equal to the rest. They end up hiding them. But you see, such cases have really gone down. Right. Right now, people are aware of these conditions, and people have lived to accept that.
And do you have like organizations that have come together to ensure that you people are protected?
Yes, organizations are there depending on the disability. Say when we talk of albinism, we have associations that support albinism. When we talk of cerebral palsy, we have the Kenya, that is the Kenya Association of Cerebral Palsy. And we also have an umbrella organization, which is the National Council, that brings these organizations together and makes sure that they meet their goals and their mandate as organizations.
All right, but some barriers faced by persons with disabilities are determined to society as a whole, and accessibility are necessary to achieve progress. Now, how have the persons with disability been empowered this far?
So far so good. Right now you look at some of the buildings in town, they have the ramp whereby a person on a wheelchair can easily climb. They just don't have to go using the stairs. You can also see that there has been the distribution of sunscreen to persons with albinism. Earlier on, it was very difficult for persons with disabilities to get sunscreens because they are very expensive. Another one here is assistive devices that you find organizations providing, like say the white can, and also nowadays it's very easy for a person who is visually impaired to operate a phone. Earlier it was very hard because we have a software that is friendly to them that accepts that allows them to access the mobile phones. So with technology we have made some steps, I can say.
All right, speaking of technology, some of the learning materials that the visually impaired people use, or even people with albinism, there are some of the glasses that you should be assisted with. And then it happens that over time, you realize these people struggle so much before they get some help. And still speaking on matters being facilitated, we have institutions. Do we have enough institutions that maybe will cater for these people, and how much can it hold? Because for every country, for every institution, there should be a certain number over which people could be accommodated, people could be trained. So what do we have in our country to accommodate as such? Do we have enough?
I would say we don't have enough. We haven't reached there, but we have made progress. Persons with disabilities have been actually it's very easy for them to maneuver with technology. Maybe say when it comes to the visually say the hearing impairment, that's when things are moving in a slow pace, because there was this motion that these people need to watch television, they need to access programs, and you realize that in our Kenyan channels, we only have the sign language interpreter on the news segment alone, so which leaves persons with hearing impairment not being informed, not being entertained. But I think something is being done by the organizations that are concerned to make sure that persons with hearing impairment can access technology, can watch television, and some few other cases that we yet to accomplish. But I'm very much sure that our leaders, persons with disabilities who are represented in politics, are doing something towards that.
Yeah, last month or so, there was a debate in the parliament that the currency should be changed in a way it will help some people to identify, and these are people with disability. The visually impaired, they could realize or note this is, say, 50 bob, this is, because currently these people struggle. How was this message received by the organizations, or by the was it an idea from the organization that represents the people with the persons with disability?
Actually, this concept came from the organizations that are supporting the visually impairment, including the Kenya Union for the Blind and the Kenya Society for the Blind. I think it's something that we really need to reckon on, because it's very important. Persons who are visually impaired find it very hard to distinguish, say, 100 note to 500 note. So it's something that we should look upon as a country to see that being passed. Though I've never seen such a concept anywhere in the world, but I think it will be, once we introduce it here, some other countries will emulate that.
Yeah, as Senator Orengo was saying, some countries have that, and it was good if the same concept would come to Kenya. Let's talk about now the inclusivity when it comes to job opportunities and how these persons living with disability interact with the people in the society. How has the job market embraced people or persons with disability so far?
Okay, I would first talk about the private sector, which has really played a major role in employing persons with disability. And there are some few companies that maybe some of them I won't mention on this program, but they've really shown concern and interest to persons with disability. We have companies that have even gone an extra mile of employing 30%, a percentage of 30 of the employees who are persons with disability, which is very good. So far, the government also, say public offices, they have also embraced that, but some few which have not complied to that. I think this law should be made very strict, and it should be made compulsory to any employer that they should have a percentage of 5% of employment to persons with disability.
All right. Actually, this week, just the other day, that was on Monday, we saw what happened with matatu ban in the CBD, and I am sure, because every Kenyan in Nairobi suffered in terms of mobility, persons with disability were affected as well. Now, what do you think should be done to ensure, even if the matatu would be banned in the city for like forever, what should be done to ensure that persons with disability, especially those who have problems with mobility, could be factored in, or how should they be helped?
I overheard the current governor, Mike Sonko, saying that he's going to, they are going to invent buses that will be carrying persons with disability, children and old women to the CBD, which will be a very great initiative. But then the issue of matatus not getting to town really affected persons with disability. Some of them never attended work. I would see even on my Facebook page, most of them complaining that they've walked from Ngara to Mdurwa. That was really hectic for them. But I think as a country, if the governor, you know, marks, like say, if the governor sticks to his word that they are going to get buses that will be carrying persons with disability, ferrying persons with disability from a specific place to a specific place so that they don't suffer much, that would be really a great thing.
Unless in the recent past there has been a perception in the public domain that persons with disability is a problem. As we speak currently, how is the society embracing the persons with disability? Is there discrimination? Is there stigmatization to these persons? What is happening back there? Because these are some of the things that we won't get to know about them unless someone speaks them in such a platform. So how is the notion, how are people being treated, the persons with disability, how are they being treated by the public or even back home?
All right, I would first talk about my condition, which is albinism. As a person living with albinism, I have seen the community embracing albinism through the vast awareness, the vast ideas that are coming that need to let the society embrace this specific condition. I will talk even about Mr. and Miss Albinism that happened. That was a very positive thing. People in the past used to relate disability to ugliness and to, you know, something that is considered close to a curse. But right now people are seeing potential in people with disabilities, people with different conditions. It is becoming like it's normal, like accepting what God created you. Like you know, these people were just created like that, and they were meant to be like that. And apart from just seeing their disability, the society has started looking at their abilities. That's why we have them, even most of them, driving. Now you can import a car that is free from tax because you're a person with disability. So this is showcasing to the world that, you see, these people have potential. And that's what the society is embracing. Yes.
So no one would wish for a disability factor, but we have seen people, if I could take Nairobi for an example, we have people who sit on the corridors, on the streets, borrowing money, and then you would see another person with a disability, but this person has been trying to do something to earn a living in a right way, or not asking alms. So about these people who sit alongside the streets borrowing money, and others who are brought by their people to do the same. What some of the organizations that you know of, what are they doing to ensure that such is not happening? We can have them with us and help them in a way that they don't have to go to the streets to borrow money.
All right. First, these people who beg money in the streets, it has been lately noticed that these people, most of them are foreigners, they're not Kenyans. And if we have few Kenyans who are doing that, maybe they are not informed about, say, what the National Council for Persons with Disability is catering to persons with disability, because we have that at the National Council there is that say a chance for persons with disability to access loans. They can open small businesses once they get into a group. They also have been given say a chance, an opportunity to acquire tenders and to also get tenders from public offices, from public organizations, to distribute, to distribute goods through their companies that they've launched. So I think the National Council is doing well to us, persons with disability, and it has made a lot of progress in supporting disability and potential, especially say for example you're a person who is educated and say you got good grades in school and you want to go to university. There is a loan that the National Council gives to persons with disability, which is a progress. And I think these small organizations which are under the National Council for specific disabilities should embrace that.
You just spoke about education, and I'm like, persons with dyslexia, they have a problem in catching up, and now they are given the same time when it comes to examination. Do you think this is something that should be changed, or what has been done to ensure that they are not given the same standard as normal people?
Thank you. Talking about dyslexia, I remember while I was in school, as a person with albinism, I was given an allowance of 30 minutes as compared to the rest. And also, we look at my papers, my examination papers had large fonts than the rest. So it's something that is being done. For dyslexia, not much is being said about dyslexia, but if the SAID organizations can come out and defend this and say, these people need to be given an allowance of this time and this time, and it should be somewhere in our education system that persons with dyslexia should be, should be given that special attention, I think it will be practiced. For now, what I know is there's nothing much about dyslexia, but this is the time that now we can see organizations coming and talking about dyslexia, which is a good move.
All right, we are out of time, and I would want your comment as we finish. What do you think should be done now? Moving on, what has the government not done, and you'd wish if they did this, things would be a little bit better?
Thank you. First, maybe I will talk about the transportation. Transportation is very challenging to persons with disability. You see someone on a wheelchair, maybe wants to travel to town from her hood. The conductor has to get out of the bus, carry this person to a seat, then fold the wheelchair and take it at the back of the car or of the bus or in the boot. So there should be specific buses that should be ferrying persons with disability. These specific buses should be built in with a ramp that will accommodate persons who are on the wheelchair to sit or to a specific place, that they don't have to be carried to the bus. That is now transportation. When it comes to education, I think you talked about dyslexia, which should also be something that should be looked upon, that persons with dyslexia should be added more extra time while tackling their exam papers. Another thing is sign language incorporation on our TV channels, that the government should enforce the private channels and also the national broadcaster to have sign language in each and every content, so that these people are not left out. The handshake guarantees an inclusion of everyone, that no one should be left out. So I think through that concept, persons with disability will not suffer anymore.
All right, many thanks for coming, and I am sure the relevant authorities have heard you, and I'm sure they will do something, and I'm hoping this should be done. Many thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Back home, many thanks for keeping us company. I hope you have learned something, and this is a message you should move to your fellow brothers and sisters, and if you're in a government, ensure that this message gets to the right place. My name is Dereva Hilewi. Have a nice evening.